Good morning and welcome to our very first session of Meat and Potatoes. Just meat and potatoes. Let me tell you what just meat and potatoes is. Just meat and potatoes is the attempt to summarize the teachings of the life of our church. Because I know what happens. You can't be there every Sunday morning. And some Wednesday nights the kids have a soccer game or something's going on at school or you had to work late and you can't be there and you miss that opportunity. And this little teaching session has two great convictions that really are foundational to it. Number one, I believe God is at work in your life and in our world. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Secondarily, I believe you're interested. I really believe you're interested. So I want to try to provide for you a very brief synopsis and summary of the teaching of the life of our church. So here's number one. We've been studying about the Ascension. The Ascension is that moment when Jesus is lifted up literally from heaven to earth. It happens after the cross and the resurrection, 40 days after the resurrection, 10 days before Pentecost. Luke and Acts tell the story of Jesus ascending into heaven. That's been part of the problem for us. We have believed heaven is a long, long, long way away. So really, Jesus' ascension for us has meant his absence. He went to heaven, which is 5,000 to 5 million miles away, and so we don't understand the closeness of Jesus. In the New Testament, heaven did not mean a far distant place for the Jews. It meant a place where God really reigned and ruled over all the issues of earth. You see that in Psalm 2, where the kings of the earth have to be careful because God has established his Son in heaven, and he'll be reigning and ruling over all the earth. And so the whole promise of ascension that is really fulfilled in the outpouring of the Spirit at Pentecost is the closeness and the intimacy of Jesus to our lives. I want to tell you today that Jesus is close to you. I want you to think about two questions that we often separate that really should never be separated. The first one is, how close do you feel to Jesus? Now the second question is different from that, and that is, how close do you believe that God is to you? Typically, we would answer the first question, well, I'm not as close as I need to be, I want to be, I should be. And we can list down the behaviors or lack of behaviors that determine why we're not as close to God as we need to be. But I want you to understand, there's no difference between the distance between me and God and the distance between God and me. The wonderful promise of the New Testament, whether or not you feel it, whether or not you think it, whether or not you believe it, the truth is that God has made him both Lord and Christ, is Jesus who was crucified. He has gone to heaven, and from that place he is intimately close to us. May you enjoy the closeness of Jesus today in your life. And thank you for joining me for Just the Meat and Potatoes.